The sun cast a golden hue on the neighborhood, and Melissa's porch was, as usual, the center of activity. Her blonde hair gleamed, and her infectious laughter floated through the air as children and teenagers eagerly gathered around her. She was telling another one of her vivid, animated tales, her gestures and playful expressions captivating her young audience. No one could deny Melissa's charm. It was magnetic. But her flirtatiousness and mischievous streak made her an enigma to many. Whenever she thought no one was watching, she would playfully stick out her unusually long tongue, an act both innocent and suggestive, depending on her audience. She was especially fond of teasing Patrick with it, making small, playful gestures, daring him to come closer. Patrick, despite his mother's warnings, couldn't help but be drawn to her carefree spirit. Patrick was a young man in his early 20s, a college student deeply engrossed in computer programming. With dark, neatly styled hair and an air of quiet ambition, Patrick was kind-hearted yet driven. His willingness to succeed and his openness to new experiences made him susceptible to Melissa's bold advances. Despite knowing better, he found himself intrigued by her unapologetic confidence and the thrill she brought to his otherwise structured life. One evening, Patrick's mother, Kessie, peered through the window and saw Melissa on the porch, her tongue flicking out playfully at Patrick as he stepped outside. The two exchanged smiles before Melissa beckoned him over with a subtle tilt of her head. Kessie sighed, disapproving but helpless to intervene. Patrick had assured her time and again that they were just friends. But Kessie knew better. She had seen Melissa with other young men and believed her to be a bad influence. Melissa's porch gatherings became a daily occurrence for Patrick. He would join her and the neighborhood kids, listening to stories and occasionally sharing his own. One day, after another of these sessions, Patrick retreated to his room with an unusually bright smile. Kessie, curious and uneasy, peeked in and found him scrolling through Melissa's social media. His expression was one of fascination, and Kessie sighed once again. She wasn't surprised. Things escalated when Melissa hosted a game night for the neighborhood teenagers. Balloons flew through the air, music blasted from a portable speaker, and laughter echoed down the street. Patrick joined in, initially hesitant, but soon swept up in the fun. As the evening wore on, Melissa led Patrick inside her house. Kessie, watching from her window, could only shake her head. She called her friend Brenda to vent her frustrations. Brenda, ever pragmatic, suggested a countermeasure, introducing another girl to distract Patrick from Melissa's influence. Kessie agreed, and soon after, a beautiful Puerto Rican girl named Pureza arrived at their doorstep, claiming to be there to discuss computer programming with Patrick. She was polite, intelligent, and seemingly a perfect match for Kessie's son. Patrick and Pureza quickly became friends and started spending more time together. Kessie's plan seemed to work initially, but it wasn't long before Pureza, too, fell under Melissa's spell. One evening, Kessie saw the trio, Patrick, Pureza, and Melissa, laughing together on Melissa's porch. They ventured out together, only to return late at night, their faces alight with secrets they weren't sharing. Kessie realized her efforts had failed. Despite her playful nature, Melissa had a mysterious side that intrigued everyone. She could afford expensive items but didn't seem to have a job. Rumors swirled about how she managed her lifestyle. Patrick, now fully enmeshed in her world, didn't question it. Instead, he continued attending her porch gatherings, even after Pureza left town for a month to visit her uncle in Sydney. Things took an unexpected turn one day when Melissa's father stormed out of the house during one of her gatherings. His face was red with anger as he mockingly shouted, "I saw you! You won't stop your little debauchery, will you?" His words sent a hush over the group. Melissa's confident demeanor faltered for a moment, but she quickly recovered, brushing off his remarks with a dismissive laugh. Patrick couldn't ignore the growing tension. He began to notice small oddities about Melissa. The way she seemed to know things she shouldn't, the expensive trinkets in her room, the whispered conversations she had when she thought no one was listening. One evening, his curiosity got the better of him. While Melissa was distracted, Patrick followed her to an old abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. Inside, Patrick discovered a side of Melissa he hadn't expected. The playful, carefree girl he thought he knew had a darker, more calculating edge. She turned to face him, her smile sharper than usual. "Curiosity killed the cat, you know," she said softly, her tone carrying an unsettling mix of humor and warning. The warehouse lights flickered, and Patrick's breath hitched. He had no idea what he had stumbled into, but it was clear Melissa wasn't just the neighborhood's fun-loving storyteller.